Hello and welcome to another new episode of This is Saturn. It's that time of year again, folks, for spooky shenanigans and scary shit. Halloween is upon us, and this year I've decided I'm going to commemorate it in some way. So, a horror game review? Maybe D? No. Read the video title. Horror? Ha! We're ripping and tearing our way through hell in Doom. For those unaware, Doom is a first-person shooter created by id Software, and it was revolutionary for both the genre and video games as a whole. It was also good. Really good. Seriously, Doom on PC is by far one of my favourite first-person shooters of all time, and in particular, co-op runs with the hilarious Brutal Doom mod always make for a good time. Doom was so popular, it ended up being installed on more PCs than Windows 95 at the time, which was insane. Doom 2 was released and it was just as good, and whilst I've not played Doom 3, you bet I'm eagerly awaiting Doom 4. So, with Doom being incredibly popular, console ports were inevitable, and oh did we get them. Doom's on basically everything: SEGA 32X, a Super Nintendo, Atari Jaguar, Game Boy Advance, unofficially on the Dreamcast. People have ported the thing to printers, for goodness sake. Anyway, amongst all these ports are the 32-bit errors: PlayStation and Saturn. The Nintendo 64 did get Doom, but with an original title, Doom 64. Doom on Saturn has gotten a bad reputation over the years, but is it really all that bad? Let's go to hell and find out. So, first things first, the box. Why am I talking about this? Well, because it's important to note it lies. The US version's box claims there's 60 levels. There aren't. The European box corrects this, but both versions also use screenshots from Final Doom on PC. Finally, the US version's box mentions 2-player deathmatch multiplayer, which isn't actually in that version. Here in Europe and in the Japanese version it's present, but yeah, the US box actually lies a ton. Not a good first impression. Still, first impressions aren't everything, and that's only the box. That said, it's convenient I don't have to suddenly change my tone, because the first impression is accurate. Doom on Saturn is absolute shit. First off, let's go into the gameplay and the options on offer. Doom on Saturn has a mix of levels from Doom 1 and 2, plus some extras from the PlayStation port such as Club Doom. Anyway, technically it's Doom alright, running gunning action as you slaughter demons, imps, zombies and a whole host of other hellish sods, with a great arsenal of weapons, all whilst hunting down the level exit, usually by collecting keycards or navigating maze-like courses. That said, the first major area Doom slips up in is performance. The game runs atrociously. Seriously, it plays at like 5 frames per second, and turning around is incredibly janky and awkward. As a sort of byproduct of this, enemies move really slowly here, so the game actually winds up a lot easier than the PC version, and so it's nowhere near as tense as the more fluid action in the classic Doom on PC. I'm admittedly more used to the frantic pace of Brutal Doom now, but even I can say without any doubt that the original Doom was infinitely smoother and far more fun than this snorefest. In terms of level design and all that, well, it's Doom, and Doom 2. Minus a few minor changes to levels here and there, it's what any Doom player should expect. Well-designed levels with plenty to shoot. That being said, thanks to the poor performance and shoddy AI, it's obviously not quite as fun as playing it on a PC, or anywhere near close for that matter. For those who haven't played Doom, you usually have to get through each level by finding these small red, yellow and blue keycard things that usually open up a path to the end. Not every level has these, but when they do, the levels can become quite a labyrinth. A fun labyrinth, but a labyrinth. Thankfully, there are guns. Oh, are there guns! Doom's weapon selection is easily one of its highest points. You start off with a kind of wank pistol, but throughout stages there are plenty more to take from enemies and find hidden around the place. Shotguns, the super shotgun, chainsaws, and yes, the BFG. No, it's not a big friendly giant, it's the big fucking gun. Yes! While it's hard to enjoy due to the shitty performance, it's hard not to get a quick laugh out of charging at a guard shotgun blazing. Graphically, it's not exactly the worst thing ever, frame rate aside, but it's nothing amazing either. I can't stress the frame rate issues enough though. When I watched the footage of this port, I thought YouTube's player was acting up. It's nigh unplayable and it's utterly incomprehensible that they released the game in this state. It single-handedly ruins the experience, though obviously it's not the only reason. It works in tandem with the pixelated playing area to hamper the experience. All of this said, there is a reason for the lack of any real graphical prowess here, and I'll go into it in detail later. All that aside, the game's artwork is still great, the imps and demons are classic monster designs, and it's certainly Doom in terms of atmosphere and world, just not presented very well. Music-wise, the game is bland. The Doom soundtrack that I know sounds like this. In-game is ambient, and it's not awful, it conveys atmosphere, but that's not what I'm after when I'm playing Doom. I'm here to rip and tear, and this music does not get you in the mood for that. I can't really recall any of it after switching the game off, whereas the usual Doom soundtrack is ingrained into my soul. Bit of a letdown here. So, I briefly mentioned that there was a reason the game runs so sluggishly, and lo and behold there's actually a few reasons. First of all, Doom on the Saturn is a straight port of the PlayStation 1 version. This same method was used for Castlevania Nocturne in the Moonlight, the Saturn version of the PS1 Symphony of the Night. It worked just as well there as it did here. That means not better. In addition, John Carmack himself stopped the poor bastards tasked with porting the game from using the Saturn's 3D acceleration for some reason. This meant the game had to be software rendered by the CPU entirely, which even with my tiny knowledge of processing, I know is an awful idea. I'm playing the European version of Doom, so how about that multiplayer? I wish I could answer, but imagine my surprise when it turned out the game requires linking Saturns. Hilariously, if I had another copy of the game, I could probably do this. I still have my PAL Saturn knocking about after all. But I mean, what? It's not the only game to do this, apparently even Virtual On supports it. The game is available in co-op and deathmatch, which sounds cool on paper, but since I have nothing to go off gameplay wise because I'm not linking up my SEGA Saturns, I can only assume the multiplayer is just as wank as the main single player experience. So, overall, Doom on Saturn was kind of, well, doomed from the start due to the restrictions the devs had. Perhaps it couldn't be helped. It doesn't excuse much though, this game belongs nowhere near your collection. The sluggish gameplay, weakened AI, forgettable soundtrack, lack of multiplayer for US folks, even if it's awkward to do in the EU and Japanese versions anyway, and the blatant lies on the box make it a bit puzzling as to how this got released in this state to begin with. If you want to play Doom, stick to your PC, folks. That's all for this episode of This Is Saturn. Thank you for watching, and happy Halloween! Join me on the next episode where we'll be reviewing something.